I'm sure we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to start. I'm sure that all of you in the audience, whether you're an entrepreneur or an investor or a PR person, have had to deal with the media and have had to pitch your story. So what's the best way to pitch your story? What is really going to catch the journalist's attention? So I'm very honored to have with me some of the most prestigious people in the media world today. So we have Robin Wauters, founder of Tech.eu, Robert Scoble, who I think needs no introduction, and Bryan Clark from The Next Web. So my first question to you is, what's the best way to pitch you? What's the best method? Should I call you constantly and wake you up at 3 in the morning?
Well, you can wake me up at 3 in the morning. What's the best way to pitch me? I guess different journalists, different tastes, right? Some people like phone calls, some people like emails, some people like tweets, some people like to meet face-to-face before they write about a story. So, but you can always ask a journalist, how do you like to be pitched before you do it, right? So I have no specific, particular preference for anything.
Okay. Robert?
Whichever.
Don't pitch me at all. Elon Musk didn't pitch me, and I got the story about Tesla. It wasn't Elon that pitched me. It was Jason Calacanis who said, I have to see this new car. And that's how I found Tesla. The best companies in my life have rarely pitched me. You know, Flipboard sort of pitched me. They said, "Oh, we saw you in line for the iPad, and we have something that we think you should see." And because they had built a relationship with me in the line, they had the credibility to launch that. But the best pitches I've gotten aren't pitches. They're not traditional. The PR bullshit, the press release, email, saying, we read your blog and we think you should write about this and help us out, That's never this good story. The best pitches are storytellers. They tell a story about the company, about where they're going, and why they think I need to hear about that story, right?
Mm-hmm. Bryan?
If you call me, I'm going to block your number, and you'll probably never hear from me again. That's absolutely the worst way to pitch me. Every once in a while, a PR person will find your number, and you don't know how they do it, and they'll call you nonstop. But unfortunately, I'm not Robert Scoble, and I still need you to pitch me. Email.
What's funny is my phone number's public, and I will answer your phone call, and I won't block you if you pitch me, because I do want to hear about new ideas, right?
Yeah. Email, is the safest one, obviously, but sometimes it takes me a while to get to. New ways, new creative ways always catch my attention. I like to see if someone can pitch me in 140 characters. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I just started using Snapchat recently. I've gotten a few pitches on Snapchat, so
yeah,
just be creative,
Okay, cool. And what kind of stories interest you the most right now, Robin? What interests you the most to write about?
Interesting
what technology?
stories. And any kind.
Any specific technology?
Well, I like to write about companies that haven't raised a shitload of funding and do something amazing anyway, bootstrapped, kind of below the radar stuff that I can discover and kind of be the first one to write about it. Mm-hmm. That's my interest, but that's very personal. So
yeah.
Again, different tastes, different journalists, different.
Robert, I have a feeling I don't need to ask you.
And I'm signaling to everybody I want to hear about VR and AR. And
I didn't notice you were signaling anything.
Yeah, and that's what I want to hear right now. But if you have something mind-blowing in some other area, I certainly am interested in anything new. I want to be in the front row to anything new. And so if you have some new restaurant that has a technology angle, pitch me the technology angle. I heard about Hintwater, and why would Hintwater pitch me, right? I'm a tech journalist. I read about the future. What does a water company have to do? And their pitch was very unique. They said, we're the #1 water at Facebook and Google. So they found a tech way to pitch me a product that has nothing to do with technology. And that was very effective, right? So there's always a way to pitch any product to any journalist, but you have to really understand that journalist or that influencer deeply so that you know what they're going to be attracted to for their audience.
And just to give you an example, VR is actually a good example because everyone's now into the VR space. It's hyped. A lot of people doing content and then hardware, all of that. Yesterday I was in a Pioneers Festival in Vienna, and I met this company out of San Francisco actually that are sending satellites into space with 3D cameras called Space VR.
Yeah.
And so you put it on your headset and you're in space and you can look around. Now that's something else, right? It's unique. It's content. It's not that hard to do, but launching a satellite into space kind of, it makes a difference. So it puts a unique twist or an angle to it that kind of sets you apart from everyone else. So.
Okay, so you're saying that you need, in order to pitch you need to have something that brings you out to outer space.
It's normal. We get hundreds of pitches every day. Yeah. There's so many startups out there, and there are only so many publications and journalists, so you need to have something to stand out. So.
It's interesting, if you're in a crowded space, like Google was the 17th search engine. People forget Google was the little tiny thing that nobody heard of, and everybody thought Alta Vista or Yahoo was going to own the world. And Google's pitch took 10 seconds to get to me. It was simply, try your favorite search. I tried my favorite search, and my question was, how did you get rid of the porn? Because on Alta Vista, the second result would always be an adult site. And on Google, there was no porn. And then we had an hour-long talk about PageRank and how it worked. But it took 10 seconds to get to the point where I saw deep value in this new thing in a crowded space. And I get pitched all the time by companies who are going into crowded spaces, but just don't measure up that way. Don't have deep value that shows up in very few seconds. Because journalists are going through their emails looking, for things that stand out. And some of the techniques we're telling you is how to stand out in email or how to stand out in the world. But it starts, for me, with the core product. If the product is so compelling, I'm going to hear about it, even if I try to ignore it. I tried to ignore Snapchat because I didn't want another social network. But it kept coming at me over and over, and it continues to come at me. Gary Vee just bugged me about Snapchat. He's an investor, of course, but he bugged me about it. And he's going to keep his army focused on everybody about Snapchat.
Right. Brian?
For me, you just have to stand out. It's like Robert said. Robin actually said it. We get pitched so many times that we've become quite adept at recognizing when you're sugarcoating a bad company. And we get probably 90% of our pitches are really just that. It's a company that's been duplicated ad nauseum. It's a company that really has no prospects to go anywhere. But the PR people, the better they are, they'll always find a way to spin it. And they're usually just bad companies. So be creative. And it definitely doesn't hurt to have good companies to begin with. So if you're a good company, we can't ignore you. It's like Robert said. It's very tough.
So some things, we're all going through these things and trying things, and there's social signals that we look at. If you send me a new iPhone app, and I go to your iPhone app page on the store, and you don't have any reviews, I don't consider it. Because you have not done your homework to get to the level of this kind of. You haven't done social proof.
Well,
you haven't even thought about
usually,
building.
Robert, they come to you even before they launch, don't they?
That's different because
they come to Robert when they have a dream at night and say, "I'm going to build an app."
Yeah.
Sometimes, but if you come to me early, it's usually somebody introducing me to you. It's not usually you introducing yourself because usually you're stealth anyways, and you're not sure about how.
I see people pitching you all the time.
No, that's not true. The good ones always come through other people. Always. And it's not just this industry. I talked to Steve Greenberg, who discovers musicians. He discovered Jonas Brothers and others. And I asked him, do you ever just walk into a bar and find a random musician that's amazing? He goes, hell no. It's my friends who bring me the amazing musician because they're in the bar in some weird city and they hear somebody who's amazing and they bring that person to him. And there's a filtering process. We all have filtering processes to figure out who really is an interesting new thing coming.
And it's a flipped pyramid, right? It's the same with early stage investment. If you're looking for investors, there's only so many, and there's so many startups out there. So it's a flipped pyramid. If you get introduced, you get in here instead of here. So obviously you have a bigger shot of getting. So it's just the way it works. It's more of a human nature thing.
Right.
You get introduced by someone you trust, you listen to the pitch, and you pay more attention.
Right.
It's just human nature.
So Robert, you gave a tip on what's a great way to pitch is basically find out what interests that reporter or that influencer and customize your pitch in a way that
I would go way more meta than that. I would start with what is your story that you're going to tell the world. And then how are you going to tell the world that story? And it's not by pitching one guy. It's not by getting Scoble to write about you or TechCrunch or the Next Web to write about you. When you start thinking holistically like that, now you start thinking about building a movement. You start thinking about getting the social proof activated so that everybody in the ecosystem thinks you're important. And that's hard to do, but if you can get 40 really key people all excited by you, you're well along that storyline, right?
And then they're going to spread the message, obviously. They're going to be your evangelists.
I always start with stories. Think about what is the story you want people to believe about your company? What is the belief that you want? Hint water is the best water for the anti-Diet Coke crowd, right? Because it has no sugar, no
I'm going to
no
think you're
crap
starting
in
to
it,
work for
stuff like
Hint
that.
Water now.
And that's the pitch. You don't have to get much more complicated than that. That's the story. If you're at Tesla, Elon Musk did this pitch, and I've been pitched the exact same pitch now by an Uber driver who drives a Tesla around Paris. It's the same pitch because Elon thought through, what is the story of Tesla going to be 10 years from now? And I'm going to consistently tell that story in small interactions, in dinners with friends, on stages at conferences, and in the media with Robin, right?
Yeah.
And with all due respect to PR professionals, you can find techniques and tips on how to do storytelling properly online for free everywhere. The internet is littered with advice that you can use for free. You can just go out and look for storytelling techniques and hone your pitch and perfect your messaging even before you contract a PR agency or partner. So why don't you? A lot of founders are technical in nature, so they're engineers. They're not typically inclined to be good at storytelling. That's the stuff you can learn, and you should learn, because you're pitching all the time. You're not just pitching journalists. You may be pitching customers. You may be pitching partners, investors, your mom. You may be pitching, people who you want to work for you, right?
Yeah.
When you're recruiting, you're basically pitching your company.
Yeah.
So you're always going to be pitching. So why not learn the skills to do it properly?
Yeah.
That's what I always tell people. Learn storytelling before you start pitching.
Some more tips, don't be desperate. We sense desperation, and it turns us off.
We can smell it.
Yeah. When you're confident about where you're going in your story, you almost don't need to pitch. It's like dating. It's like dating, right? If you're desperate, people will be like, I don't like to be around you.
Yeah.
But if you're really confident and you're have your act together, and all your friends are like, this guy's really good, all of a sudden you're getting dates, right? You don't even need to try. So you need to think about it that way.
The confidence is really important too, because if you're not excited about your product, you're damn sure I'm not going to be excited about your product. And if I'm not excited about your product, I can't get others excited to read about your product.
Yeah.
So it goes back to everything they've said. You have to craft a pitch. Don't send me a chain letter, or don't send me a canned response and accidentally leave someone else's name in it, which you guys are great at.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do that. Craft your pitch, get excited about it, make me excited about it. That's all there is to it. Like, I think a lot of times you overthink these things.
Yeah.
So Robert, you were mentioning Hint Water as one of the best pitches you ever got.
I don't know about best, but it's an example of a product that wasn't in my category. If you pitched me it straight up, I would be like, I don't write about water. Why do I care about it? But they pitched me in a way that got me to think about it and write about it. And sure enough, now it's the number one. It's the number one drink at all the Silicon Valley tech companies, right? My wife
That's
works
what we had at your birthday party as well.
Well, and the founder came to my party, right? But my wife works at ServiceNow, and she takes pictures of the refrigerator, and the Hint water is always gone first, right? That's a signaler to other people as storytelling devices. It's social proof. And so it just keeps coming at me because it's doing so well. Randy Zuckerberg told me she just bought a bunch of it. She loves it. Social proof again.
Yeah.
Storytelling. It gets down to what are the core benefits of your product, and why is it attractive to me as a media guy with an audience? Why do you deserve to talk to my audience?
So as far as, best pitches you ever got, Robin, what is the best pitch that you ever got?
It's so hard. I got
or
the question.
one of the best pitches you ever got?
I got that question a lot. The reality is that the best pitches and the really bad pitches, I don't really remember. There's a lot of mediocre pitches, I will say that. So if you're any type of personal you send me an email and you say, oh, I saw in your Twitter bio that you like Belgian beer. My favorite's this was Duvel because I tried it once. Personal relationship, first line, I'll keep reading. That's a small tip, but it's like there's tons of little tricks that you can use, I guess. But I don't know.
Any company that stands out as far as how they pitched you?
Not really.
No?
Sorry, I should probably.
The ones that don't do their homework stand out, and the ones that do their homework get read more, right? You can tell when somebody's doing their homework and really knows the industry and knows how they fit into it, how they fit in the framework. All journalists in their mind have a framework of how the world works, and they're always reevaluating that framework with your new pitch. So if you come in and say you're going to disrupt real estate, you better have a way that explains that in the journalist's head, and you better understand the journalists that you're pitching, what their framework is, what do they write about, what are their strong stances, are they pro or con these different companies, how do you fit in that framework? You can find lots of little angles if you do your homework and read somebody for a while.
Yeah.
It's context. Don't tell me what your product is. Tell me which problem are you solving and why, and who are your competitors, and who are your customers? Why would they use it? What makes it special?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the examples that you guys gave, I mean, for Tesla, it's much easier to excite you because they're Tesla and what they're doing, and a space company as well. But what
it wasn't Tesla when we first saw it, right?
What would you say to a startup that's not doing Tesla? They're doing a social application.
Why do you say it's easier for them?
Because it is.
It's not.
Of
That's not
course
true.
it is.
If they
Elon
do
had to
something
fix-
amazing and
Because
they
of
get publicity as a
technology.
result.
Elon wasn't Elon back then, right? He had a little roadster that was a piece of shit, to tell you the truth. And it had some attributes, and he played up those attributes very well. But if he pitched me in a different context, it wouldn't have worked. If he tried to pitch you back then, 9 years ago, if he tried to pitch you against Toyota, you would say, this is a joke. Toyota's way more comfortable. It has more toys. It has better cup holders. It has better seats. It has more room for my kids. He would never have thought of the Tesla. But he didn't pitch it that way. First of all, it wasn't him pitching it. Jason Calacanis says, hey, you want to ride in this new thing called a Tesla? I was like, sure, why not? It sounds fun. And Jason has a Corvette, so I was like, yeah, let's see if we can get a race going between you and Elon. This is what happened, right? And Elon, that was the pitch. Elon said, let's go racing. That was the pitch. And we raced around the streets of Santa Monica, and he said, this is why what I'm trying to do with this car company. I'm trying to make a car that beats the Corvette because it has electronic motors, and the motors are computer controlled, and they won't spin, blah, blah, blah. And we filmed it live on Nokia, right?
And that's cool. And that's
9 years ago.
It goes back to exactly
But
what you're...
he wasn't Elon Musk back then. He was a nobody.
Right.
I mean, he was somebody, but he wasn't Elon Musk, capital E, capital M.
Yeah,
back
but
then.
he was still a somebody back then.
It goes back to what you were saying earlier. It doesn't matter with the product. It's your ability to tell a story. And it's just like Robert was saying here, like, Tesla wasn't cool back then. Elon Musk and his entire group made it cool. So the same challenge applies to startups that really don't have that kind of visibility. You have to make your product cool first.
Yeah.
You have to tell a cool story, and you have to get us interested, and then we'll do the rest.
Well, I think a good example of that would be Better Place, which tried to do what Tesla's doing back in the day, but didn't succeed in their pitch.
They never took me for a ride and raced against Jason Calacanis in a Corvette.
That's the key.
That's the reason they failed.
And maybe that's a little
That's
luck,
the reason they
right?
failed.
Maybe, and Elon had a personal relationship with Jason Calacanis. So there's some luck in there, there's some relationship magic, and he started PayPal, so there was a belief that this guy might do it again, right? There was something about that. But you have to play on what makes you special in the marketplace. So
But I mean,
if you're next door and you're building another social network, you better explain why the world needs another social network. And they did, right?
And to your point, electric sports cars are sexy. If you're building a B2B enterprise software sales,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's harder.
It's much easier
It is. I mean, there's no
it's
question.
much
I know,
easier
but
to tell
I
your
just
story
was-
as a car.
I just saw Looker, this company in Santa Cruz. It's a B2B, it's an enterprise company. You're never going to use Looker unless you're a business person running your data systems for your business. And how did they pitch me? They said, well, Lyft uses us, Twilio uses us, Snapchat uses us, and Uber uses us. Would you like to see why these companies use us? Great pitch. for a boring fucking company, right?
Yeah.
And
all
they
of
got
a
the customers first,
But
which
all of
is
a sudden,
important.
this company is not boring anymore. It gives business people superpowers because they can see anything about their business. This is why modern businesses are using Looker and why Looker's on a rocket slope, right?
Right.
It's not a consumer company. It's not going to be something you're going to put on your VR headset.
Yeah, but it's definitely more difficult, though. to
It
pitch
is.
I mean.
Definitely
What
more
I've gathered so
difficult.
far is that if somebody wants to pitch Robert Scoble, you have to drop a bunch of names and you have to say these
You have to
companies
bring a
are using,
card.
these companies are
very
using
simple.
my
Social
product.
proof is really
Right,
important,
right.
right?
Yeah.
You
Did
know?
you get a ride in a Tesla? Because I didn't get a ride in a Tesla.
No, I didn't.
I didn't get to race a Corvette in a Tesla.
So what's the worst pitch you ever got? Or the most entertaining
many
pitch
of
you
them.
ever got?
Oh, man.
Anything where they leave someone else's name in the top
Yeah.
of it?
Hi, Peter. We love Mashable. I mean, I get sent stuff to my house. Hey, Ryan, can you review this for Engadget? And I get razors and electric razors and all that stuff. And I didn't even write for Engadget, and my name's not Peter. But I still get it. And that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
It's free shit, but
yeah,
it's not going to make me write about it.
yeah.
What about you guys?
I don't
Any pitches that come to mind as the
Anything with
worst?
someone else's name or some other publication is sure to get ignored, even if there's free stuff, which happens. But it's like he said earlier, like the best pitches and the worst pitches don't stand out. If you want to see what stands out, check the next web and look what I'm writing about. Those are the pitches that stood out to me.
Yeah, do your homework.
Yeah.
The worst ones are the ones that get thrown in the spam folder because they look spammy or they are spammy. And I just don't remember those. I give them literally 2 seconds. I decide you're a spam kind of thing, and I put you in the spam folder. Yeah, I don't remember the really bad ones
Yeah.
that often. I certainly can tell you what gets you thrown in the spam folder, but I would rather these people think about how do I become the storyteller, the story that gets told, right? And there's lots of ways to do that. Think about building a movement, not just one journalist.
And don't send us press releases.
What do you feel about press releases? Because I know the journalists are mixed. Like some like it, some
Ask
hate
first.
it.
Ask first. I mean, send me a short little crafted pitch.
I have a good
Say, I
one
have
on
this
that.
cool company. It does this. Would
Yeah.
you like to see a press release?
I have a developer friend who built for me, specifically for me, a plugin, so an extension to my browser that filters out words like leading, next generation, award
Revolutionary.
winning, revolutionary. It filters it out.
Can I
I
get a
don't
hold
even
of that?
see it anymore. And guess what? I can still do my job.
Can I get a hold of that?
You can have it. It's free.
You didn't miss any good stories because
So
of
that's the
that?
thing. All press releases, if you look at them side by side, they all look the same. We're the leading this. We're award-winning, revolutionary. I don't need to know that. I really don't. It doesn't help you at all. Just tell me what you do, why you do it, who you do it for, and if I'm interested, I'll ask more information. I'll ask for it. So don't waste our time just
And
using.
bullshit iterative updates.
Buzzwords.
Like nobody really cares that you change the color of your fonts. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like send that to someone else. You know.
Yeah.
And also press releases on itself. Why do you need them in the first place? You can set up a company blog.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's evolved over time, right? So the
Fair enough.
traditional way of pitching, I mean, it's the art of pitching is evolving all the time. It's becoming shorter and shorter as we're entering an age of, attention deficit disorder.
If anything, I look at the press release way after I'm sold, and I'm using it for facts, or make sure I get the price of the product right, and I got the URL right. That's sort of why I look back at that kind of thing. But I'd almost rather you do like a product hunt page with a video,
Yeah.
a really great video, and then I'm going to look at that video to decide whether you're really doing what you're saying you're doing. But it's
there's
the
a-
personal relationships.
There's a
that are-
place for a press release. It's just definitely not something you send on first contact. I mean, I'll use it for background all day. I'll use it to check facts. But don't just send me a press release without even saying hi. I mean,
So you're just
I-
looking for an email pitch, basically. Here's
yeah,
a paragraph.
Send me a
here's
paragraph.
who I am.
Say, hey, this is what my company does. This is what the press release says, so that you don't have to read 2,000 words.
Yeah.
And then I'll read it if I want to.
Okay.
I like being pitched on Facebook Messenger, but some of the worst ones are when people paste in a really long email into Facebook Messenger. That tells me they did not think it through
Laziness.
at all how to talk with me as a human being, which is Facebook is a chat thing. So if you're sending something longer than about this long, you're fucking up. You haven't even done your homework about what Facebook's good for. Start a back and forth relationship with me first, and then maybe I'll ask you, can you send me the full press release on my email or something? Don't send a big long thing this long. I'm never going to read it, and you're going to look like an idiot, right?
So you mentioned a mistake that people make. What are some of the other mistakes that you see in the pitches that you guys are getting?
Wasting our time. Such as saying, we have a great new hire, and then you forget to link to his LinkedIn, or you don't include a picture, so we have to go chasing you for extra information. So just be. Do
you write about new hire?
No, I'm just saying that as an example.
I think that's a big mistake PR people make is they think that we're busier than we are. We're super busy, but if we didn't see your email and respond to it, it's because we didn't want to. We don't miss a whole lot of emails. I mean, we kind of rely on those emails. So
in fact,
we don't need it 5, 6, 7 times. Just in case you missed it, I promise you I didn't miss it.
My out of office says if I don't answer you, the answer is no, and I use that technique because I just don't have time to answer every email.
Yeah, we just don't have time to say no, sorry, not interested every time we have an email pitch.
Not to mention they often beg at that point.
They do start begging at that point.
We're basically a bunch of arrogant, busy bastards.
Speak for yourself.
I am.
I'm a nice guy.
It's true.
What would you never write about?
Oh, man.
What topics would you never cover?
New hires. I like that one.
That's a good one.
I never say never. I just want to be. I want to see new things. So I will be adverse to writing about old things. But if you pitch me an old thing in a unique way that tells me it's being recontextualized for the new world, maybe.
Anything that bores me will probably bore my audience as well. So make it exciting for me, and probably I'll write it.
That's really it. At the Next Web, we get a ton of freedom about what we want to write about. So if it bores me, I'm not writing about it. Anything else, if it's cool, I'll write about it, or at least look into it further.